Timi Frank to Ecowas. Tinubu's position as chairman no longer tenable. Okay. So what Timi Frank has written Ecowas now is that Tinubu's position as the Ecowas chairman is no longer tenable because he has a lot of baggage, legitimacy issue on his neck, ranging from credibility of this election and presidency that's occupying, and then the credibility around the certificate forgery from the Chicago State University down to Nigeria here. So for this reason, he's not worth being a leader of a nation and of a bloc like ECOWAS. So they should impeach him immediately. That's exactly what Timi Frank is trying to say here. So let's dive into the details and exhume what has been put together here. Former Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the All Progressive Congress APC, Comrade Timi Frank, has called on the authority of heads of state and government of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, to sack President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as its chairman over lack of legitimacy as president of Nigeria. Frank, who made this call in a statement in Abuja, said the president lost legitimacy following discovery that he forged the Chicago State University certificate he filed with the Independent National Electoral Commission to contest in 2023 presidential election. He said if ECOWAS must remain relevant and retain its credibility and respect among member states, especially in dealing with the military junta now spreading fast like a pandemic across the sub-region, it must act fast to protect its integrity. Okay. He equally called on past and present presidents of member states of Economic Committee of West African States to prevail on the sub-regional body to do the right thing by appointing another chairman in acting capacity pending ratification during the next ordinary session of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of ECOWAS. He said failure to act timely would put the regional body in a lame duck position where all decisions reached during the tenure of Tinubu would not be respected and therefore null and void. He called on the leadership of the military junta in Burkina Faso, Guinea, Mali, Niger Republic not to have any dealings, discussion or negotiation with the Tinubu-led ECOWAS until the president is removed as his chairman. He urged the authorities of ECOWAS not to be deceived by the appointment and secondment of broadcast journalist and Channels television reporter Mrs. Linda Ngabowa Higbe to serve as communications advisor to ECOWAS Commission President His Excellency Dr. Omar Ali Toure in Abuja. This is a Greek gift, therefore the commission should beware, he said. He insisted that Tinubu's administration, in one breath, persecutes the media with recent NBC's last warning letter to Arise Television, and on the other hand, it bribes them with generous appointment and paid advertisement, as recently corroborated by ex-governor Nyesom Wike, who is the minister of FCT. He called on the National Assembly to defend the nation's constitution, democracy, and rule of law by urgently commencing impeachment proceedings against Tinubu over gross violation of the Constitution. So he insisted that the National Assembly cannot afford to stay aloof while the nation is crumbling under illegalities and breach of the Constitution committed by Tinubu as contained in the sworn deposition by the CSU authorities. He said the National Assembly, like Nehru, cannot afford to fiddle while Rome, the Nigeria burns. Otherwise, they would become guilty of conspiracy, of silence, and willing accomplices to the unraveling of democracy in Nigeria. A breach of the Constitution by a sitting president is an impeachable offense. We are calling on the National Assembly, the Senate and House of Reps to wake up and defend the Constitution. This is the time for them to uphold the law and the Constitution of the land. This is the time they must display patriotism irrespective of party affiliations by urgently commencing impeachment proceedings against the president. This is not all about party membership. It is all about sustaining our democracy and ensuring peace, security, and development of the country. Nigerians expect them to exercise their constitutional powers to do the right thing if they are truly the elected representatives of the people. Otherwise, Tinubu's stay in office will continue to bring national disgrace and embarrassment to Nigerians both home and abroad, and equally chase away foreign investors from doing business in Nigeria, because no foreign investor will come to Nigeria to invest where it remains under a president with legitimacy issues or with tainted legitimacy. So he insisted that the president's forgery saga is already making life difficult and creating hard times for Nigerians abroad who are seeking for jobs, as their certificates are now being subjected to thorough scrutiny to ensure they are not fake. The Bayelsa-born political activist also called on the Supreme Court to handle the presidential election petition appeal before it with the fear of God and national interest in order to safeguard the nation's democracy. He said, "We believe that the Supreme Court must not be biased and must do everything to protect our democracy. The world is watching to see if they will uphold the principles of true justice in the manner they will handle this case of perjury or lying under oath by Tinubu himself." So according to him, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, recently said the judiciary does not base its decisions on sentiments or public opinion in deciding cases, but on the Constitution. So several vitriolic attacks are regularly heaped on the judiciary. It is, however, crystal clear that public opinions, no matter how serious or weighty it might be, cannot override or supersede the Constitution of the country, which we apply in deciding each case, the CJN said after swearing in 23 newly appointed judges of the Federal High Court in Abuja. Frank Shaibu Frank added, "We now have a clear case of breach of the Constitution by a president who submitted a forged certificate to INEC contrary to Section 137, subsection 1J of the Constitution, which stipulates that a person shall not be qualified for election to the office of president if he has presented a forged certificate to the Independent National Electoral Commission. We expect the CJN and other Supreme Court justices to courageously uphold the Constitution by ensuring that a confirmed lawbreaker is not retained as the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Nigeria." So that was Timmy Frank telling ECOWAS, the Supreme Court, and the National Assembly to do the needful now. Okay, and somebody said for lying because he will be considered as a liar and he has no shame. Exactly. Another advice gotten from, can you imagine? They're calling it a madman now because Frank actually has said the truth. Okay, somebody said, "Well said, Mr. Frank. We cannot continue to live in sin and hoping that grace will abound. This is okay. This is the time for the Supreme Court and National Assembly to rise to the rescue and to do the job Nigeria have entrusted to them. Okay, one man cannot put the image of Nigeria and the Nigerians to international disgrace. Not be smart, you know. This they are trying to insult me, Frank, but then he has said what he needed to say. And somebody said, "I am ashamed. Why do I go on air? Let me tell you one thing. You have been crying since the time of Jonathan till now. The sooner you realize that you have to cooperate with your leader to succeed, the better for you." They are trying to, talk to Frank here, Timmy Frank, to align with Tinubu. Of course, that is not going to happen. That is not going to happen. Someone say ECOWAS or not, and to all the town criers, 1,000 of Atiku and his travelers cannot remove his cap, not to talk of Tinubu himself. So over to the abuser on the house floor. Can you imagine? So his people are still defending him, but it's just quite unfortunate that Nigeria is in a mess and some people are happy with it. the way it is. And people that are even defending Tinubu are not even living a better life. It's just unfortunate that they choose to be miserable. So thank you for listening. Let's have a comment on what Timmy Frank is trying to say.